Yeah, there we are. So what we see is it's under the BioSimSpace root compartment, and what we have here is essentially BioSimSpace. NTOS is the one that's set up for PED, and we just write, and just to, one thing to say is they're set up in different ADs. So this is Pete's one, and he basically has a pool that's set up in it's in Frankfurt, and he's in AD3. R1 in BioSimSpace, if I remember correctly, I put that into AD1. You can see there's AD1. Okay. At the moment, we have one node pool, which is a dinky pool, which is a VM standard 2.2. So that's basically 2 cores. What I'm going to do in a sec is I'm going to increase this to a standard 2.24, because that basically will be big enough for the entire workshop.
Yeah.
IS spelled like that. The pricing for everything is on this website here, and it tells you what we can work with.
That updates in real time.
Yeah, so basically we're on, and it's per core, so we were originally on this one here, so it was only 30 gigabytes of RAM, and that's our limit really.
Yeah.
By doing the 2.24, it's now 320 gigs, which is totally fine. Okay, in my cube folder, I have this file, which is the VSS config, which is also copied to config, and that's basically the thing that contains all the login details. I will give you a copy of that file, and if you place it into .cube here, that will then work, and that means when you run kubectl,
So I'll need to install Kubernetes too.
you need to install Kubernetes here to be able to do anything. You're then able to basically do things. You can see here we have one node, it's been up for 24 days. And if I then do get namespaces, you can see we have a notebook namespace. It's been up for 4 days because I have to rebuild it. Minus namespace notebook. Get pods, and this shows all the pods which are currently running. You have effectively the hub and the proxy are the main ones. This is the one that's pulling the images, and this one is doing the let's encrypt. If I go to Notebook, my little browser, what will happen here is this should work for everyone on the actual thing. It says it's actually a lot quicker now, to be honest. I like this. And that will start your browser up. And now when we do kubectl get pods, you'll see that a new pod has been created for Jupyter. Okay. That's the thing that gets created, and that's the limit. So we can only create as many of those pods as we have resources available on the machine. When somebody logs out, it's supposed to kill the pod.
Right.
But in reality it doesn't. It hangs around for about 30 or 40 minutes afterwards. And that's why I have that kill pod script. And all this is doing is just deleting the pod. So you can actually just do minus namespace notebook delete pod name.
Does it still have that thing? I remember the last time we ran the workshop, so say they've got a browser tab open, they happen to close it and reopen it. Within that 30 minutes it will reconnect.
It will reconnect to the same one because it has the session.
Yeah.
But essentially, yeah, if you find that you completely run out of resources, reset the entire workshop, and then everyone is fine. Obviously, it kills everybody's session, but it's the only way to recover, I think. Trying to do them by hand is going to be too painful. So we can then see if we're here. Okay. In terms of Helm, Helm is the package manager installer. And basically, if you need to, when you install Helm, you have to do sort of basically Helm minus init on the machine, and we'll do this on your own machine. And when you do upgrade, it then upgrades to the latest version of Helm on the client and the server. And that just makes sure everything is working. Once you have Helm running, as you see here, this is the command we use to upgrade the entire notebook. So if we run that command, that will upgrade everything according to the values which are in the notebook.yaml file. Here we're specifying the memory requirements for the pods. So we're saying you must have 1 gig of RAM free before you start a new one. So that would mean we can put 320 people roughly on there.
Yeah.
You must have 0.2 of a core available, so we have 5 times 24 cores. So about 100 people available. So you can see we are massively overspec. This will kill the pod if it goes over 5 gigs. This will kill the pod if it goes over, or limit it to 10 cores.
Yeah.
So it will elastically work. Here we're timing out after 2400 seconds. This is when it will kill the pod after no information. That's providing us with the temporary login, so we don't have to do anything. And this here is where we're basically setting up HTTPS. Okay. And then obviously this bit we're choosing the actual image to use. If you find that you need to push a new image, you obviously could push an image to your own Docker repository and then just change this,
Okay.
and then just change the tag.
Okay.
So do I have Docker running? Yes, I do.
So in the idea pipeline thing that you added, it didn't. I guess it's because it's not actually building its pipeline, but that's never pushed to the BIOSM space.
I mean, ideally it should be pushed to the BIOSM space one.
Yeah.
And you see I've been pushing it to my own Docker hub. So ultimately, this should be BIOSM space notebook, and then change the tag.
Yeah.
And if you end up building it from the same Docker image, it will actually not change anything anymore because of the layering of Docker, so it's all fine. Okay, so what we need to do now is, because this is a 2-core, this isn't going to be big enough. So we're going to expand this to be a 24-core. So you could either just straight add the node pool, because you can have as many node pools as you wish. But personally, I don't mind the downtime, so I tend to delete the node pool first.
Right.
So there's an action here, which is delete node pool. We will delete it, and you go, do you want to delete it? Do you really sure you want to delete it? And you go, yes, I do want to delete it.
Yeah.
And this has not deleted the cluster, it's only deleted the nodes that are running the cluster. So the node pool is gone. If we do the kubectl get nodes, you'll see after a period of time, we will not have any nodes. It takes a bit of time, and indeed what you'll see when we do get pods is you'll see them be killed eventually. It takes quite a bit of time. So I always wait until this is finished. Again, if Kubernetes gets in a complete mess and you have no idea what's going on, this is the equivalent of turning it off and turning it on again. It's amazing how long it takes. I would have thought it would be like instant, because you've just literally got rid of the entire node, but we'll just hang around. I'm not actually sure when we get charged for this, because I would have thought we're still charged at the moment, even though the system now thinks we're not. We don't own it. Ah, this is looking better. No, still running.
Send a pigeon or something to go and tell.
The other thing is, if you do get services, this lists all of the services we're running, and the main one is actually the load balancer, which is from the internet. So this is the IP address for notebook.bisomespace.org.
Okay.
While we're here, that is configured. So this is with Julian's login.
Okay.
So that's configured on the zone editor of Julian's login. And if we go and look at bisomespace.org and we manage it, what you'll see is down here, there is notebook.bisomespace.org pointing to the IP address, and that's basically an A record. It updates really quickly, but it takes about a day before Let's Encrypt is happy. So if you ever have to restart the services, I don't recommend you do that. You have to update this and then take a day, and you just have to be patient. It will look like it's all broken, and nothing's fixed it. It's just like, just leave it and it will sort itself out.
Yes.
I've learned that all of this is patience.
Yeah. I find that always annoying with web stuff when you're trying to like test bugs quickly, and then there's something that takes a day, and you're like,
yeah. So what we see now is that we need 2 of those pods, 1 of those pod, 1 of this pod. Here. None of them are there. They're all pending, because now when we do get nodes, there are no nodes now. And when we do get services, the services still exist, and we haven't actually destroyed the IP address.
Yeah. It's just ready to be mapped to another set of nodes.
Exactly. So now we can now add the node pool. So now I'm going to add a node pool in, and I get to choose the name. And so I'm going to call this big pool because this is a big node. As you see, the autocorrect likes to break things. It's fine. We choose the latest version of Kubernetes. We choose the latest Oracle image. We choose the shape, which is going to be a VM standard 2.24. And now subnet, it's going to be 81 because remember we were in 81 and NTOS is in 83. We want one of those per subnet because we don't need more than one node, and I find things are easier if we have one node for this size of cluster. And then because if I might want to SSH into the node, I just need to put in my public SSH key. And so I'm just going to put in that. You have to do it here. So actually what I might do as well is you've got your one, and that's basically going to be hello pages. And then what was the link?
Is it .keys or something?
I think it's .keys. Or maybe just keys.
I guess you could just maybe see one of the sign-in keys for one of my connects.
GitHub. Here we are. GitHub. Oh, it's name.keys.
Oh, okay.
We were nearly there. I'll take the top one. I'll take all of them actually. Okay. So put those in, and they just get copied into the .ssh folder. So they are still being used as it's still user APC on that node. We don't need any labels because we're not labeling it, and then we click add, and that's it. Really simple actually. Much nicer than in many other Kubernetes services because you haven't had to destroy the cluster. So you can change the nodes as and when you wish. And then we wait. And we wait. Email climbing up as it goes. So last week I did like a mass email wipeout. I just deleted everything and then reset it all, which was very, very liberating. Still going again, you can follow it as well on the get nodes, and it'll say there's no node. You'll take its time. As you can see, there's the OCID, there's the pool it's in. Sometimes I just refresh the page and that seems to advance it, even though it's supposed to be auto-updating. And showing my impatience.
Got some code just like until user
There we are.
presses refresh.
Here we are, so you can now see it's creating. So there we have the node, it's in, this is booting basically, and so we just have to wait for it to come up. This is the bit of the video we would cut out if I'm going to edit it. Okay, we have an IP address, still updating, because I think with the BioSim Space one I created it using the wizard, and the wizard actually placed the nodes behind a firewall, so you can't log on to the Kubernetes nodes. With this one I actually made it, I created this myself, so this is a public node, so you can SSH onto it. Was useful to be able to back when I was manually managing images, but to be honest now we don't really need it.
Yeah.
It's better, it's more logical to not SSH onto the nodes. Still updating, still no node. In theory, if we added this as a separate node pool, then there'd be no interruption to service, but then there'd be like a migration period, and it just creates issues, and we don't really need those issues. These while we wait.
I guess you would also be charged for two resources at the same time. Well, appreciate. I mean, not that
Yeah.
it matters to us, but if you're doing something,
If you would, yeah, you'd be charged, you'd be overlapping and charged, but again, we're talking about pennies per hour, and so it's 10 minutes, so it's remarkably cheap. I mean, this, because there's 24 cores, I think it's like £1.10 per hour, and so this is £25 per day. So if our scaling up now is basically 7 days early, so we are spending £140 unnecessarily. But we've prepped it, we're ready for it, we'll then run through the workshop and then scale it back again. It's then down to maybe 100. We'll go back to our normal daily cost of, I think it's 7 pence an hour, so yeah, about £1 a day, £1.40 a day. Still waiting. I'm doing this now because I want to make sure it's totally fine before I go on holiday.
yes.
Come on. So note this IP address is not the IP address of the service.
Yeah.
Indeed, if I do SSH OPC we might even be able to get onto it now. Oh, I need to tell my key. I always forget that. Yeah, we're on there now. Yes, it's still doing the yum install.
Mm-hmm. So effectively, what I'll need to do is once the workshop material is finalised, I'll need to add that into the Docker as a thing that clones in an extra repository and makes it to the right place in the home directory, and then push the new Docker images.
Yes. And just update the notebook.yaml and run the helm command.
Yep.
I mean, if the changes are small, you can just do an update notebook in the workshop.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. But at the moment, I don't think it. Or maybe it does put in the workshop. This is the guys in which I was probably going to update. But...
Come on. Well, this node is busy. Yeah, we've got 320 gig of RAM. We have plenty of free disk space.
Mm-hmm.
The actual Docker image is about 3 GB, 4 GB, so it's really not an issue.
Yeah.
I'm just being impatient here. Installing software. And what I think we should do is, after this is done, we'll update the existing nodes. We can do a Helm update, and then you've got then the GitHub link for the workshop from CCWSM.
Yeah.
So it is kind of all ready to go. Get nodes. Okay, it's been added to the cluster. Oh, it's ready. Which now means if I do minus namespace get pods, we should now see. Oh yeah, notebook get pods. You'll slowly be thinking, yeah. So now you can see it's doing the image puller, and it's now beginning to actually pull the images. With Kubernetes, you can basically take the name of it and you do describe pod. Name of the pod, you'll see the logs. And it will. There's always I can't do stuff, and then the top is the latest thing, or the bottom is the latest thing. I never remember. It sorts itself out. It complains a lot and then sorts itself out. So the proxy is now running. The hub is going. This is just moaning about stuff.
Yeah. Nice.
Come on. Again, if we go on to the node, you can see the images that it would have pulled in. So you can see it's actually pulled those here, and it takes a while to get started because it's a 3 GB image. Come on, little thing, you can do it. There we are, the hub and the proxy are running. Interesting, it hasn't actually pulled the image in. It says it's happy. That's why you kind of just have to be really patient with it.
Yeah.
So even though it's running, I don't think it should be running. Because it hasn't actually got the image on the service, so... Oh, sorry, I lost the end of the IP address. Oh, there we are. It has got the image. Just, as I said, I'm being impatient. Impatience never gets anywhere with Kubernetes. Oh, no, it's not running. See? We're now back in that state. If I now go here and do notebook.bisomespace.org, it's all fine.
Okay, great.
Now I do the pods. It's okay.
Yeah.
We've migrated between 2 completely different nodes. Shock horror, that worked. Okay, so what we'll do now is basically edit the Docker file. So we have the Docker file here. And at the moment I've been git cloning these. You want to add in something else?
Yeah, so there's last year's workshop, which I believe is this CCP Bison space _ workshop.
Okay.
And once I finished the material, I was just working out whether to update the existing material or have like a 2018, 2019 directory, just so people can see how it's evolved.
No, I think it's keep it one thing. Otherwise it gets confusing. So now I'll go to GitHub. Yeah, autocomplete is quite...
Yeah, this one. So this is where I was going to put the edited stuff in.
Okay, so yeah, put the edited things into here, and so we'll git clone this one.
And yeah, obviously, if we, depending on what happens with CCP Bison, we can obviously move this wherever afterwards and stick it in the main Bison space repository.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So yeah, so we have that there. That means there'll be a Bison space workshop directory in the same way as we have the Python and data one.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep this as an extra line just for layering.
Yeah.
Don't need to change much. That's a good name for it, so that's kind of fine. As you saw, I put demo into demo just because it's
make it
easier. Exit save. So now I can do Docker build. think this is tag 10, isn't it?
Yes, the one was V9, I believe.
Yeah. Docker build this dot -t Chris Woods Branson space notebook. Easy. Do you want to change the update biasing space so it includes a git clone, a git pull for the workshop?
That's a good idea.
Because then you can just say to them, just run update biasing space as the first thing.
Yes, that's a very good idea, because then I basically don't need to rebuild anything after this, assuming.
Yeah.
Unless I update the actual biasing space. Well, even updating the biasing space code is driven by that, isn't it?
Such a messy way to do it, but that'll be fine. And then, as I said, what we do is for the Docker file, you just have to comment out this line if you want to test it locally.
With the bit that was doing the, after that you're actually installing Python, so it's still in the same directory for.
Oh yes, that's a good point.
So
what I'll do is I'll just put these above. Yeah, that's a good idea. Docker build it. Docker run -b. Always forget remote. It's easy just to do this from copy and pasting. Docker run. And then we can put this in. So there we have the workshop, that's all good. Now we can do new terminal. Some space. And then it's just a check. I always do. This interactive MD workshop has been used so many times. It's like, yeah, it runs. My notebook is running too many things, so it gets very slow. There we are. It's all running, everything's good. So remember to remove that uncomment in the Docker file, because basically it's just something about the temporary user account login just breaks the URL when you're running locally.
Oh.
So it's just that. So all that file contains is just telling it to use temp authenticator. And if you turn that on, it just won't run locally.
Okay.
So it's kind of interesting. Okay, Docker build it. It's all fine. Now we can Docker push it. Docker push. This is quick and easy because actually very little has changed. Perfect. Now we update the notebook.yaml. So that's the secret token. Obviously, I will change the secret token or cut it out of the video. name of it. That's what we have to do. And then the helm command is written here. So what that's saying is install it into name notebook and namespace notebook using this version of jupyterhub, using those values. Off it will go. Again, we need patience. You can see from the timeout I had before that it used to take a lot longer. It's now much, much quicker. And now what happens if we now run the kubectl get pods? What you'll see is that the old pods are now being terminated. So there's a new hub being created, which will replace the old hub. The proxy doesn't need to change. That is the old Jupyter pod that I had for my last login. So I'm just going to destroy that. That's using the old image. And it's already running.
Okay.
As soon as it's running, you can see it's new, 37 seconds. If we now go to Notebook, it should all be using the latest things.
Yep.
Now it's by some Space Notebook or Workshop.
Great.
And again, terminal. It's much quicker. Even here.